everybody,
Hi, everyone,
and
and
welcome to Educator
the
Spotlight.
spotlight with
Tiffany and
Dr. P.
where we our partnership, I'm sorry, is built on us empowering minds, inspiring futures, and supporting educators today.
And we are highlighting and paving the way for difference makers. How are you, Tiffany?
I'm doing good. How are you, Dr. P?
I'm good. How was your week?
This week was very busy. I was doing some trainings with a contract I have for with a company for MTSS, and I
Mhm.
worked every day for 3 sessions a day. So
That's
it
one.
was very, very busy this week, this past week. So I am looking forward for the next week to, I have some other things to do, but it won't be as pressing as doing all of those sessions, even though I
Right.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, and would you believe we are next week is our third week at school, and it's just very important that we also have to this week for our video episode two is very important that we talked about back to school night. So when you I remember you mentioned in our first episode that you know you were a leader, you were a principal. So was there give us an example of how did you do your back to school night? Why do you think we need to have a back to school night?
Well, it's of course important to have back to school night because it helps us to meet our families, give them a chance to come onto the school campus, connect with
Mhm.
the teachers and the staff. I just love back to school night. And even as a teacher, which I will talk about as being a leader, but I'm going to tell you my very first one, if you don't mind, then I'll move to the leader
Yeah,
part
go
because
ahead.
I just wanted to reflect, it just popped up. But my very first back to school night, I was at a very large school, so that school did break up. Um,
So
the
what grade levels did you have? I know you're a principal, so what grade level were those?
well, when I was a teacher, I was at a K-8 school. So
Okay.
our principal kind of did elementary and middle separate.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
when I was an assistant principal, we were a pretty large school as well, but we did our back to school night. We did the whole thing K-5. And then
Mhm.
when I was at a principal, I was at an elementary alternative setting. So we did two different back to school. We would call it something like having this parents if they wanted to come during the day, and then we would have a session at night just to kind of help parents that could not attend in the daytime. I mean, at the nighttime. So, but back to my very first one, then we can move on from that. My very first one, I'll never forget. I was very excited to meet all of my parents. I had my principal and staff. They had gotten us ready to present and knowing what was expected. And
Right.
I'll never forget, I looked up and my mother was in the room and she came to my very first back to school night. She was a
Mhm.
principal herself. I had no idea that she was gonna just show up, but she said she came to support me, knowing it was my very first one. So that was a very special memory for me, even though I got a chance to meet a lot of my parents and
Mhm.
be able to connect them with their children and share all the great things that we were going to do in the class. But it was really nice also, and it's just a wonderful touch to have my mother appear out of nowhere to surprise me to come to my first back to school night.
Right. I was mentioning about back to school night because my I've been to different back to school night when I was a teacher as well, and some leaders they have different ways of how to conduct back to school night, and basically the major reason why we have back to school night is to make sure that there is partnership between teachers and parents because it takes a village to really raise the children that we have at school. So, at school, teachers, educators, we are the second parents. But for teachers, for the real parents or guardians who will, find effort and time to really go into the classroom and know the curriculum because this this time around, the lessons, even in math and ELA, there are different curriculums. So parents have to know those things as well. And it's nice to communicate with their teachers, because if things happen, whether good or bad, they have the direct communication with the teachers. And the other night, my daughter is in middle school now. And so the back to school night was usually it's kind of like only an hour, but that time I guess like middle school, 2 hours more. But it's really worth it because every teacher has a chance to really inform parents, especially if you are a very supportive parent for the academics of your children. And I know in a snapshot, it's not the whole details, but I know by just looking at the teacher, if the teacher is really working hard towards teaching our children or any other children in the school. So it's really nice to meet and greet the teacher once in a while in
Oh, yes.
person.
I'm so glad
Mhm.
you brought up about your daughter because that's what I was thinking about too. Not only about us as educators giving the best experience that we can for our parents for back to school night and for our teachers and staff, but for us
Mhm.
as parents to go and meet our child's teacher. I was trying to think back, when was the last time? Because I don't think I went to my daughter's junior or senior year back to school night, but I do remember going to some in high school. And I'm like you, when they were at middle school, high school, you're going to go to every teacher's class.
Teacher,
Uh,
yes,
and
yes.
it was very nice to be able to go in and meet every teacher, see, what they plan for the year, to be able to connect with them. So again, I'm so glad you brought that up, and it is a very important. I was about to ask you, had you had your back to school night at your school yet? But it's a very important event that we certainly hope that teachers and parents can connect and just be able to do the very best with the experiences that they're giving the children so that, those connections can be made.
Right. Also with after COVID, it's 2020 and it's 4 years later, and people are still talking about that there's a higher variant of COVID. But what's the good thing about the back to school night these days is I have three children. So the first one I was able to attend, my third grade. But my fifth grade and sixth grade, they are on the same night. And it's like I
Oh,
have
wow.
yeah, so I am in conflict with whoever I want to attend, but because my middle school, I've been able to, attend the fifth grade last year, and it's the same teacher. So I would assume, that they have the same topic, they have the same, presentation that they did for my fifth grade. So I have to prioritize my middle school because middle school is a different grade level.
Right.
And the good part with back to school night these days is because of COVID, there's we will thank COVID as well in a positive way because some teachers and even the administrators, they also send it via Zoom.
Okay.
Like you can do it via online, which is or their presentations are presented on a class dojo. That's what they're doing. So at least if you're unable,
Oh, I love
not
that
because
idea.
yeah,
Hmm.
if you're unable to attend, not because you don't want to,
Hmm.
but because you have other major reasons that
Right.
are beyond your control. So they posted it in there so you will still be able to see what they're talking about. And, with online and face to face, it helps in many ways because, like me, I am as a parent myself, I am very supportive. I always make sure that when I get home, I'm also a teacher when I get home with my kids, and I am so very involved with their academics because I want them to have a better life. They want them to be successful. So yeah, I'm just happy for teachers, posting it on online so I can see what they're planning to do for the children on this year.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that because, I've been out of working for a district for about 6 years now. And so
Mhm.
I
Right.
wasn't working in the district when COVID hit, but I know COVID has changed a lot of things and for the better. So I'm even glad
Correct.
to hear that because, like you stated, there are parents that don't attend not because they don't care about their children. We feel like parents send their best to school every day, and we know many, if not all of them, want was in the best interest when it comes to the education for their child. So if they weren't able to come to a back to school night or a parent event, wasn't necessarily something that we should say, well, the parent just didn't care. It could be that they were working, like you said, or something else. Like you had an instance where both of your children had a back to school night on the same night. So I just love the fact that, they're doing virtual, where if a parent can't be there, at least they can have a video,
Right.
still know what the curriculum is like, still know the types of expectations are in the classroom, and still be able to connect. So I just love to hear that you stated that. Have you all had your back to school night at your school yet?
Yeah. Yes, we did it, I think 2 weeks ago, and we did it on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the afternoon. It started like 3 o'clock. On it's well attended. I could say that the crowd was better, um, as compared to last year. So every year it's getting better, and we had it like, because we are pre-K to 8, so we kind of have it like 3 grade level every hour, and we just do rotations and
Okay.
present what we have to offer, especially that our school this year was one of those who made a turnaround. So it's also this time around that where you have to brag, I mean, you brag, but because it's true,
Mhm.
I mean, and we made sure, as what my principal say, that we made sure that we have the story to tell to to the parents, to the community, that we've been working hard, and we made it. So
Mhm.
every year we're hoping that we're gonna make achieve the goal that we are planning to get at the end of the school year. And we did it this year, so hopefully by the next by the end of the school year. So it's it's still a long process, but as a team we are really working hard. But some other schools, when you were a principal, did you do it over the weekend or did you do it during the week?
It was during the week.
Mm,
Like you stated, I know some schools that do it on a Sunday, they would call it more of an
right.
open house. But yeah, we did do ours during the week. So,
And did you do it like by grade level or?
I didn't, because our school was small enough where,
Oh,
we just
okay.
did the
Mm,
one
mm,
night, and then one year we decided to kind of do it one in the daytime, and then something in the evening, just to see if we could catch parents, that work
right.
that could come at another time. But like I said, when I
Mm,
was any other all the other schools I was in before I was a principal, they were all in the evening, usually a Tuesday or Thursday. So I can
yeah,
say
yeah.
that,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah. So it's yeah, it's also nice that we always accommodate because most of the parents are working.
mhm,
So yeah, they
mhm.
will have a time to really come and participate. So, back to school night is really on parental involvement, and every school has, one of the issues at school is the parental involvement.
Yes.
How was it during your time with parental involvement, especially in back to school nights?
Again, we would not necessarily have just like the largest turnout, but we would have several parents that did come and could come, that were very
Mhm.
interested in learning more about what was going on at school. But even though we may not have had some parents that come, a lot of them would still want to know, we would still send home the information. I would even have some even call me to tell me that they would come if they could, they just couldn't. But yeah, we just understand in the day and times that we live in, some parents are working more than one job, and it's very
Right,
difficult
right.
to
Mhm.
be able to do that. But understanding that we're still their partners, we're still connected with them, and just letting them know that we're here for them. And then I thought about too, when you were asking about the parents and getting and connecting with the teachers. Students love back to school night as well. They just love to be able to come with their parent, be able to show them where they
Right.
sit,
Mhm. Mhm.
be able to share something that's going on in the classroom that might be pretty exciting. So it was always a great feeling, like just a great energy whenever I was on campus and would see how the parents would come up and the interactions that parents and teachers and students have with one another. I did want to
Right.
say too that I remember um, our enrichment teachers, a lot of times they felt like, I'm sure you have to you not, and a lot of times they would feel like, oh, we were forgotten. And it really wasn't that. It would be that the parents would go in to see the regular ed teachers,
Mhm.
try the homeroom teacher, and sometimes
Right.
everything that you're sharing is just so much. And by the time it's time to go, they may not have gotten to each enrichment teacher. So we felt like they were just as important as any other teacher. It just so happened
Yeah.
that that's
Yeah.
usually how it kind of worked out.
What happened with our back to school night, because you talked about enrichment teachers,
Hmm.
and even though they are not the core, but hey, if a child gets a failing grade in enrichment classes in any of those, it will really affect the whole GPA, right? So
Right.
what we did with ours is we gave them like I think 5 minutes for all enrichment teachers. So we had this whole before parents will go to the different homeroom teachers or
Hmm.
to the different respective classes, for their children. We gather first in the auditorium, and we have the general information, the rules, the school uniforms, the backpack, especially the cell phone policy. Do you know the cell phone policy?
I've heard about
Yeah,
the
that
cell phone policy for
yeah,
this
it's
year.
a new law about that.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. So we had a whole big group first in the auditorium for about 15 minutes, and the principal talked about anything that she wants to talk about, how we run the school. And that's when we asked all enrichment teachers to come up on, so they can see, yeah. So that's nice that they still have a time to, their spotlight
Mhm.
that they will be they will be able to share, to say something to the parents of what their plans are for the enrichment. So that's what we did with them. So
A good
so
idea.
mhm. So
Mhm.
enrichment teachers were seen first by all the parents before they go to their respective classes. And then we also had, I'm not sure with yours because yours is an alternative school, but
Mhm.
we also have different clubs, like we have like the sports also. So we also have, for our rotation, we also included those on the rotation, so at least the parents will see the entirety of what the school has offered to the individual children. So
I'm
it's really nice.
I was gonna say, I'm sure they appreciate that y'all thought about that and figured out ways to ensure that everybody is included. So those are some great strategies that y'all are using to involve your parents during back to school night.
Yeah, and then one good thing that I noticed, because I've been observing different back to school nights, and I think when our district in this in this place,
Hmm.
we have the transformation, so the inviting community partnership. So those agencies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great
So
because they're part of the community as well, and also part of the journey that a child goes through as they're going through school. So that's great to hear as well. But
yeah.
yeah, y'all had, I was just thinking because it's August the 24th, and even though it's a Saturday for us, but it's, happened during this week that you said about 2 weeks ago. So that was pretty early. Y'all got it in and finished pretty quickly.
Yeah, we just knock it out the way because it's a big event. It's a big event, and we also have other things too. to do with parents. So yeah,
Right. A
so it
lot of
was
other
really a
parents.
fun back to school night. Hmm.
Yes, I was gonna say, I'm sure y'all have plenty of other parent involvement activities that allow them to come up. And I'm gonna say it again, I love the fact that y'all do the Sunday like a more of like a back to school open house so that y'all and it's probably great too because it happens so early as school is starting so that everybody can kind of get situated and then that year can progress. So
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was a fun day, and then um you also have to meet other parents and some visitors from the district. They will come and they will also have a talk to the parents,
mhm.
like the school board members as well. So
Yeah, great,
it's
great.
a good thing. It's
Great,
great,
great
great, great.
community
Mhm.
involvement. Well, I was just going to say, I'm so glad we had this talk about back to school night because we know the very importance of it, and knowing that we're career educators, and we know how the connection with parents and teachers and other staff members, how important it is to a child's educational career. So I'm so glad we brought that up as a little subject to talk about tonight. And just I'll be thinking about you all as the year progresses, and I'm sure you'll be sharing with us even more parent involvement activities that y'all are doing as the year goes on.
Right. So yeah, so that was our topic. I mean, it was great, sharing with you and talking about back to school night. So we'll
Okay.
see what back to school nights will be next year. So it always evolves. It's always changing. So I hope our viewers they learn something about us about the back to school night, and if they have a different way to do their back to school night, it might be open house or something. Hey, feel free to, to drop your message when we are going to post this video. So, and then you also subscribe for us. It's a nice way for us to get to know. So if you're educators all over the world, hey, you're free and welcome to watch the video.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for talking with me today or tonight, and we will talk to each other next time.
Yes, okay. And this is your host, the Educator Spotlight with
Tiffany and
Dr. P, and have a
have a
great
great day, and we will see you all soon.